Bang, bang, guys. It's Tom Shultz from Liquidation Motivation. Once again, doing a collaboration with the WHSL Marketplace Market Week in Louisville, Kentucky at the Convention Center, April 21st and 22nd in Louisville, Kentucky, guys. If you're not there, you are not going to get all the resources you need to be successful in this industry. And guys, we have a fantastic guest that we're interviewing today. Somebody who has a booth there, so go up there and talk to him, go up there and meet him, find what kind of deals and bargains that can bring your business to the next level, guys. You have to meet as many people as you can when you go to these shows, and we're going to bring Jason Padovani to the stage. Jason from Smart Source Wholesale. How you doing, Jason?
What's going on, buddy? Doing really good. How you doing today?
Nice.
Thanks for having me, by the way. Thanks for having me. We appreciate it.
No, I appreciate you coming on, man. How's everything in California, man?
Going well, man. Going well. Just still a little bit of the chillier time of year, but can't complain at all. Can't complain. So.
That's right. All I can think of is beach, sun, surfing, babes. I don't know what I'm allowed to say here, but yeah.
Good food too.
Good food too. All right, perfect. So Jason, tell me a quick snapshot of Smart Source Wholesale. What do you do for a living, Jason?
What do I do for a living? So, the biggest goal we have is, and this may answer other questions that you bring up too, but one thing we really just try to focus on is unique deals. Just because we see a lot of the same deals out there, so it's a big priority for us. Any unique deal that we can bring to the table from a unique relationship that we have. Obviously, we're selling liquidation, some wholesale deals, things like that, overstock, and it's just super important to us that we can provide that unique deal no matter what it is. So that's, we're providing a lot of, obviously the extent of different types of businesses out there that we provide for as the landscape has changed from, went from big stores to a hybrid to online sales to the whatnot craze and everything like that. But that's what we're doing is we're consistently finding ways to making sure we can source the ever-changing landscape of what's available to sell on. And that's my biggest priority every day, is just to make sure we can meet that need as best as possible.
Nice. Okay, so everybody has a journey into liquidation. So Jason, tell me, what did you do? Where did you grow up? Tell me the Jason story, man. Tell me your
Jason story.
Have a story.
Well, bro, so yeah, sometimes I feel it's hard to tell part of the story without telling the full story, because then people ask more questions and they're like, well, why did you go back that far? It's because if I would have told you part of it, it wouldn't have really made sense. So
I want to hear the whole thing, man. The whole thing.
Yeah. So I was born in Pennsylvania, actually, about 25 minutes outside of downtown Philly. I went to Penn State, started doing logistics and supply chain back in 2002, 3, and 4-ish. Got out of that, and then immediately started with Penske right out of college in logistics, and just the programs that we were doing there. We're actually managing 3PL accounts, or we were managing some of the customers that we had, their logistics operations, and I was on the PepsiCo account at the time, where I was in charge of the PepsiCo's Western business unit, where I was basically responsible for covering all the freight and production from the outbound production Pepsi facilities on the West Coast. That's how I was introduced to truckloads and trucking and what a BOL was and all that good stuff back in about 2005. So, I had no idea what the heck I was doing at the time. No idea about covering loads and getting things done like that. So, it's interesting how things work out, because I feel that was, obviously now looking back at that 21 years ago, or 21 years now later, I felt that was a precursor to what I'm doing now, like it was a grand plan type of thing. So it was very, very interesting how that panned out. Back in the days when I had no idea carrier names, and I didn't think 21 years later I'd still be working with C.H. Robinson, and I am, or other carriers like that. So it's very interesting, but that's how that started out. And they made me move to New York City to be on that account, because they wanted us on site at the PepsiCo headquarters. This is actually technically about 30 miles north of New York City in the White Plains area. So I worked there. It was me and a team of other 5 Penske people that we worked on site with the customer in their corporate office, where their whole umbrella of PepsiCo is, which is Frito-Lay and Quaker and all the other things that are encompassed under that umbrella. So, I just got to have some really firsthand experience with how supply chain operates, how the logistics piece of it operates with, people sometimes think covering 1 or 2 loads is a lot in a day. But the facilities I manage, me and the other people, we each managed about 7 to 10 logistics facilities at the time. And I was covering, my facilities rolled out anywhere from 250 to 300 truckloads a day. So it was a very high volume freight. That also introduced me to how to streamline processes, because it's not, you can't manually cover 300 loads. There has to be a process of who's getting what, why they're getting it, teaching me lessons on cost control and lane pricing and everything like that. So it was really, I can't say enough again, it was really a precursor as to a little bit of what I do today. It's a little bit separated, but I got the real sense of what was going on. And then, that's basically, I went from logistics and from doing that logistics piece for about, I'd say 8 years or so. And then I went into our off-lease programs with Penske when, Penske leases trucks to everybody, and then they were selling the off-leases, a lot like how dealerships lease cars, and then they have a purchase program. So I was selling our off-lease units to large freights. And that's when I moved to California, because it was a new sector within a year or two when I got into it, and they said, you know what, we're going to start, instead of just sending all our off-lease units to auction, we're going to create used truck dealerships. And now we're going to have a dealership where we sell used semis. And I was responsible for selling them to large fleets. So that's what I moved to California for. I knew I wanted to move to California because I was actually going out to California, since that was my territory when I was doing the logistical operation. And when I took the fleet sales position, I wasn't necessarily, I was a little bit nervous about it, because I didn't want to be that deep in sales, but I knew I wanted to be in California. So I took it as a stepping stone, and it was tough. It was a very tough, I didn't know everything there was to know about a Freightliner. I still don't. But at the end of the day, it's you end up talking to a lot of people who know way more about trucks than you do. So you got to learn quick, and just to make it, you got to be the expert. So that's how that happened. And then I had aspirations of starting a little trucking company myself. So I knew I wanted to make an exit. I knew I wanted to go out and work on my own. So I bought a couple 26-foot box truck with lift gates, left Penske, got a few drivers, and literally I was like, I remember I went out and I bought a suit, and I was like, all right, I got to go find customers that we got to start finding customers that we can move freight for. And, went door knocked and went to a couple different businesses, just jumped online, jumped on Google. We signed up with a few freight programs that help you find loads, and utilizing anything I can. Things are a little harder with box trucks. It's not like it's semis. You're a lot more restricted when it comes to what you can haul, obviously, with a 26-footer versus a 53. But it was an easier entry point, just because of all the licensing and the cost and everything of the semis. So I thought it was a stepping stone, is the way I looked at it. So, then we started moving box truck loads for Forever 21. We were picking up, which I thought was kind of cool. I walked into where they were like pressing the shirts, and this is in like outside of downtown LA, but literally they were making the shirts and just sending them to Forever 21. We were taking them there, and they were just putting on the tags, and I was like, that's kind of crazy. Like, I didn't know that someone was just making this shirt, and then they're just putting their tag on it. So it's everything. You learn a little bit about things along the way, and I think that's the most interesting part of the journey. Obviously, in addition to the education and everything that helps you grow along the way. But so that's what happened with that. And then just to fast forward a little bit, essentially what happened is a couple of our two of my drivers said, listen, this guy we deliver to a lot, he has all this Home Depot stuff sitting around, and he's selling it. It seems like he's making a killing. And I was like, what is he doing? And so, I went one time to meet the customer, just kind of dig in, see what was going further. And I mean, essentially that's what they were doing is they were buying Home Depot liquidation. We were picking it up, I believe out in Rancho Cucamonga at the time, the Home Depot, and taking it to his warehouse. And, I knew a little bit about liquidation, but I wasn't, I didn't know what the heck was going on overall. So it was interesting to see it. He's like, oh yeah, well, we buy this and we bring it here and we have our clients come into our warehouse. And I think he was selling by the pallet at the time, if I can remember correctly. And, yeah, I mean, that's really how it started. And I was like, okay, well, let's see if we can do this. Like, I don't know what I'm doing, but let's just figure out what we're doing. And so that's kind of what happened. In a little shorter abbreviated version, but that's what happened. And I remember the first liquidation load we bought was Lowe's, actually. And that was when Lowe's, this is about 2018-ish, 17-ish, when, Lowe's literally, I'll never forget, they told me that they were, I swear to God, I remember them saying this verbatim, they were tossing most of it out. And I was like, and now they decided to start selling some of it. And it was like $2,400 a load. And I'm like, $2,400? I was like, sure, let's do it. Like, I'll see what I can do here. And, we'd roll up and we'd load our own truck at the 3PL that Lowe's is using to store their stuff. And they're like, oh yeah, the liquidation's over there. Just, we're not supposed to really let you load the trucks, but we're busy doing other stuff. So just start loading your truck. I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, let's do that.
You're able to fit your own pallets?
It was crazy, man. It was crazy. And then that's really where, they just had it sitting there essentially. And then there was like scratch and dents off to the side. And, I guess they said it was getting a little out of control because even if a forklift tapped the side of a unit, they're like, oh, send it to scratch and dent. And there had been like a little dime size mark on it. And I at that time they were trying to get it under control because they felt that it was happening way too often. And there was this whole section that I walked by and they just showed me that's when they introduced me to that. And the percent was just stupid ridiculous at the time. I think it was like 13 or 14% or something on those scratch and dent. You ask any normal person and then they look perfectly fine, but everyone else knows that they're scratch and dent. But yeah, I would think that was the inception of when Lowe's started to figure out they could make money. And that was like where we started out. And like you've heard probably thousands of other people say, I got a storage unit. And then that's kind of where it started. And I was like, man, there's a little bit of a couple hurdles. I remember there being like a 5-inch lip on the storage unit. And we got I think I got a pallet stacker or something, and it couldn't make it over that lip. And just like little stupid stuff like that you run into when, you start out and you're like, oh shit, I just bought this pallet stacker. I'm screwed. It won't go over this lip. Like, what am I gonna do? You run into all these challenges and everything's a learning curve. But I think that's what makes it exciting, no matter how frustrating it is at the time. And then we started putting stuff on Facebook Marketplace. And I remember we did get a load. We got it, what was called, I believe, an electronics load from Liquidity. And I spent like $7,000 on it, which at the time it was a lot of money. And I was like, man, I had all this stuff on the manifest, and that was like part 2 of what was happening with Lowe's. I was like, okay, we'll put this in the storage. I'll get a storage unit right next to it and we'll put the electronics in there. And it came and had a manifest, and I was like, man, there's stuff that's not on the load that was on the manifest. Like, what do I do? And that was like, shocking at first. And then some of the stuff that we did get, I remember there was a drone that didn't work. And I'm like, I was really counting on some of the bigger pieces to try to make the money back quicker. And, again, another learning lesson. That's really how it all started. And then once we started to, there really was no plan other than, well, this is what I want to do. This is how I believe we should probably execute it, and let's see if it works, right? You don't know until you know. And once we start putting in Marketplace, and it was like, oh, we'll just come to the storage, but then we had people come into the storage, but the storage wasn't open all the time, and it was a little weird to have people come to a storage. So we're just trying to figure this out as we're going here. We're just shooting from the hip. And I remember we brought Home Depot in. and we had local people coming. Then we got a little bit of a following at once, and it started to get a little bigger. But I was always thinking about, and not to go too far off track, but I would say is that this is a perfect example why I always encourage customers when I talk to them now is the word sustainability. And it's because that was something, and it is something that's always on my mind when I'm doing anything, especially back then. The thing that was always on my mind and made me worry all the time is that, okay, I'm doing this now. Is this sustainable? And what does this look like next week, next month, next year, in 2 years? Like, am I going to be in a storage unit 3 years from now? Or what am I doing next? Is this sustainable? Like, cool, I made $800 this week. Like, I would like to make more. How do I do this? Like, how do I make this sustainable? And that was a question I consistently ask myself all the time, just to make sure that I'm keeping myself on my toes. But that was really where I stood at the moment. And I was like, okay, like, we're really hustling to, we're putting stuff on Facebook Marketplace. I don't really, I'm from the East Coast. I can't put things on my Facebook because I don't really have West Coast friends. So it's not like, hey friends, come visit me in California and buy my liquidation. So that was an edge that I didn't have, where I have a lot of customers now and they're like, oh yeah, we just, we're known in the community, and I wasn't known in the community, and I'm still not. So it's like, it is what it is. But so it was Facebook Marketplace is kind of the marketing launch, if you will, where we were, bringing in people and developing some type of, base, I guess you could call it. But I was concerned, rightfully so, about the sustainability. And that's kind of, and we did that for maybe, I'd say maybe under a year, until, the next step was we essentially just, I had someone contact me in Arizona that was doing, it was like a consignment auction situation, and they're like, hey, we saw you sell stuff on Marketplace, and we did a really wide search. We're in Arizona. We saw you're in California. It's about 354 miles away, roughly. What do you got? What could you maybe, put on our auction? You'd have to put it on. It's not like we pay you, and it'd be like a consignment type thing. So I developed a relationship with this company, this auction house in Arizona, and then with some of the people at the auction house itself, and then they had relationships outside of that, and I kind of came into this like little Arizona circle, and that lit a fire, because there was a bin store at the time over in the Northeast, and I don't know if you remember it, called Bin Voyage at the time. It was a bin store outside of Cleveland, Ohio, and I knew the person or the people that were involved at that at the time, and I just, we're all online, you were online, we're all online trying to figure this out, and you see people talking about bin stores, and I brought that up to this Arizona circle that I became a part of, and they're like, well, what the hell is a bin store? And I was like, well, here, look at this link. I go, look at this guy, and then look at this guy. They like put things on tables, and like it, they start at a certain price point, and then it goes down, and blah blah blah. And they're like, I think we want to do this. And they're like, but they go, we also want to. The people that were working for this auction company, they wanted to split off and then become like do their own auction. So I kind of got involved in this like side auction with them, and then we found a location in Phoenix where we wanted to start like a quote unquote bin store. And that's kind of, it didn't start out as a bin store. It started out as, that was like really when, I believe the year was 2018 at the time, or 19, around there. And Facebook live selling really wasn't a thing at that moment. It was like, we went live, which we didn't even really know what that meant at the time, where Facebook had that feature. And I think we had a Facebook page, if I'm trying to remember correctly. And we're like, wow, look, like we're live on our page, and we have like 300 people watching us. And we were like, this pen, $6. And then someone would say they want it. And I was like, that's kind of how that started too. And it was like, it wasn't a bin store, but it was like almost Facebook live selling at the time. And then that went on for a little bit until we were like, okay, let's open up an actual bin store. And we got a spot in a little shopping mall. And that was our first bin store that was right in the heart of Phoenix-ish. That was like literally right before COVID. So there wasn't a lot of COVID restrictions in Arizona. And we literally were like open in the heart of COVID when, 90% of the world was closed, or United States was closed. And I'm like, oh my God, like, did we really just start a business in the pandemic? So it was, I was scared. I know, obviously a little bit. Everyone's wearing a mask in the store and stuff. And it's like, God, this is crazy.
Well, we did. We considered ourselves an essential business also. They said non-essential had to close. And I'm like, we're freaking essential because my pocketbook requires that we're essential. So.
That's very true. That's very true.
All right, Jason. So you go into the crazy world of bin stores. Tell me about your journey in bin stores.
Yeah. So essentially, after we opened up the bin store in Arizona, we had someone reach out to us who saw us online, and they were buying depressed shopping centers and trying to pump them up, and make them lively again. So it was a private equity group, and they're like, hey, we have a couple shopping malls that we bought. We're trying to fill up. And then their whole goal was kind of like house flipping. It was fill up the shopping malls and then find a buyer and sell the shopping mall for more than they bought it for. But they wanted, flourishing or popular businesses to make it pop, right? So, and they liked bin store concepts. So they said, okay, let's put you in this one first. There's also a couple others. We'll talk about those, whatever. So the challenging part to that is, I was living in California at the time, and it was challenging enough having a bin store in Arizona and not being able to be there all the time, even though we had boots on the ground and two of my partners were in Arizona. But now this one was, I believe the first one we did was in Tennessee, and I was like, shit, can I run a bin store in Tennessee from California? That's a good question. So that's what we jumped into first, was the one in Tennessee. And they literally, not to get to too much of the detail, but they literally just dumped on us this building that was like, literally it was horrible inside this unit. The AC was broken. We needed to do drywall. It was basically doing like a renovation, and they're like, hey, you get 6 months free rent. Here you go. You gotta figure this out. It didn't look nice at all. It looked like trash. So we did the drywall. We had to do a lot of work on the spot. And then probably 4 months later, I believe we opened it up. It was right outside of Knoxville, Tennessee. The biggest challenge was finding, okay, how do we structure the employees so we can still create a profit, but make sure there's stability and security in the store, because we're not going to be there all the time. Because I do think, and to this day, the most successful bin stores, this may be an unpopular opinion, by the way, but the most successful bin stores, I think, are run when the owners are present more often than not. Pretty much 90% of the time would be my opinion, but some people may disagree with me. Yeah. So that wasn't a point that made me nervous, is that we couldn't be there to, just be there to be owners. So that went on, and then we opened up another one in Minnesota with the same company. So now it's like, okay, I don't know how many people are running bin stores, let alone multiple bin stores in places where they don't live. So this is going to be kind of tough. And it was pretty hard. We had everything from, big time employee theft to the craziest, dumbest stuff. Like in Knoxville, someone set the store on fire, like a homeless person or something. And, you're not there, and it's like chaos. And, we had one employee living in the store. Like, I'm not even making this stuff up. It's just rolling off the top of my head. But, just wild and crazy stuff. So, then we had our first bin store. This is an interesting concept. We went to Minnesota. We had our first bin store inside a mall, which I wasn't sure how that was going to do. The interesting part was we were only paying, I think, like 8% of our revenue was our rent. They didn't charge us a flat rate. A lot of malls have percent deals like that. But it was an interesting concept as far as, it was an old Forever 21 store. and we were next to Macy's and Barnes and Noble, like in the middle of this mall in St. Paul, Minnesota. And the concept kind of blew up. And I remember I think we had Target product at the time, and we brought it in, and it just like, it was right around Black Friday. I think it was right after. It was either right before or right after. And the whole truckload was gone in like 4 business days or something. I'm like, oh shit, like this is crazy. I didn't expect that to happen. So, we had to keep ordering, and it was just utter chaos. I was there. Well, I was always at the grand openings, but I remember I was there at the grand opening, and I worked the register because, I wanted to be that owner on the getting his hands dirty. And I did the same thing in Knoxville. I worked the register from like, I think we're open like 8 to 6 or something on the grand opening day. From 8 to 6, I stood at the register and was just like ringing stuff up. And I was like, people were bringing me food and lunch, and it was just super chaotic. And, I loved it. I mean, I liked the hustle and bustle. I love the customers. I love everything about that. It just really appeals to me. And, it was awesome. But it's a lot of work, and as everybody knows, and there's a lot of risk, and, creating a structure that works was always the most challenging thing. But, that's kind of how that started to branch out then. And then, just to give like a montage review, like, we had that one, and we had one in Mississippi. We had one in Georgia. One didn't do well, so we closed at the one in Mississippi, and then eventually like we closed the one in Tennessee. Like this is like a year or 2 after, but that's when then bin stores started to like come up, and it was like, oh, now there's 5 bin stores in Tennessee, and now there's 10 bin stores in Arizona. It's like damn, everyone's doing a damn bin store now. So it's like there's competition, and there's then there's chatter online where it's like, well, I go to this bin store because their product's better and this and that. Like, it wasn't about competition at first, but then the market came in, it was getting flooded, and I was like, okay, how do we, what do we do to compete? What do we do to be better? What do we do to source better? All the questions that anyone would ask themselves. It's just like, how you save on transport, how you be consistent with where you buy. Like, should I buy from one person? Should I buy from 10 people? You want to create relationships, but you also want to create consistency. So it's, it was a battle. It was a really tough battle. And, and then I know we're still on your first question of how to become about. So I apologize about that, but I'll just, the long story short, which wasn't really short, was that, I had a Target contract holder one day asked me, I think I was buying Target from them. And they're like, hey, we got Target case back at like $6,500 a load. Like, can you, do you want some, or could you help us? Do you have anyone that wants it if you don't, or something like that? And I think I remember I woke up in the morning, I was laying in bed, and I put Target case back, $6,500. And I sat in my bed for the next 2 hours because it was phone calls, text messages, Facebook messages, and they're like, you have Target case back for $6,500? And I was like, yeah. And then like, that was literally the inception of selling a load. I was like, that's kind of crazy. Like, I just sold a truckload, and then like people are just, well, do you have another one? And I was like, okay, like, let me see how. And then I was still involved in my stores a little bit, but I'm like, man, I like sourcing, and I like digging for that great price and making a deal, and all that. Maybe I should pivot to this sector of just being, selling truckloads and creating relationships on a different level, because obviously there's levels of everything, and that's kind of that's pretty much just how it happened. It was because, oh, Johnny Smith that bought from me last week, well, now he's calling me again, he wants another one, and I'm like, okay, cool. And then, okay, well, what else can I offer? Can I offer this? What's unique about what I do? Because I always want to be as unique as possible. There's a million people that sell Target loads, but again, that's what I talked about, earlier in the podcast, is how can I be unique? So that's pretty much how it happened. And then here we are, and we're just again, it's about people, processing, maximizing your relationships, and minimizing liabilities. So that's kind of where we're at right now, and growing and adding people to the team, and there's a word I was introduced to the other week called key man problem or something. I forget the exact term of it, but basically what that meant is, if someone would ever want to put, numbers behind their business and know, what is your business worth? What is it providing with everything? How much work is one person doing? And we do have, I have a team of a couple people that do our marketing. I have 1 or 2 salespeople. We have our guys that do the financial. We're a team of about 8 now, I think. But the point is that if there's too much of a key man presence, it puts a lot of pressure on the key man, which would be me. And then it's we're working better to delegate and grow and process improvement and create more structure. And that has been the focus over the last year. So, and it's something that is probably the hardest thing that I've done in the past year is taking manual processes and making them automatic and making sure that I'm not always the one, God forbid, if I want to go on vacation for a couple of days, the company can't fall apart or something like that. So it's a concept much like you and everything that you do. I mean, imagine, a lot of people like to talk to you and they like to talk to me and everyone else who owns a company, but that's not realistic long term. Or, so it's, I always want to have that. What someone told me one time is, don't ever lose the essence of Jason. So, you don't want to lose the essence of Tom or the essence of whoever created it. But so that's something I try to portray is how can we improve processes and people and then keep that essence of the core values of what you stand for at the same time. So, it's selling loads is one thing. And I've had a lot of people ask me about selling loads, and it's not just about selling loads. It's, making customers happy. It's the retention, the customer service, is what it's all about. So, and that all comes with better processes and people. So it's kind of where we started, where we're at, and then just what we're trying to improve upon.
So Jason, do you have a warehouse in California?
In California, no, but in Texas, I'm a partner in a warehouse now. So that's kind of an interesting angle we've taken, where we have these partner warehouse situations where I'll have, I think because of our buyer base and the marketing and the brand building, which I'm really big on brand building that we do, we have people that will come to us. I have a very unique relationship in Texas to where it was another company we were working with that we then are renting some space in there, a small space, and we're doing original projects. So everything that we do in there is between me and that company, and then that's a unique situation. So that would be our physical presence, but not in California. The reason for that is, I'm sure a lot would agree with me, 80% of the liquidation business is really east of the Mississippi. There's been a struggling way about the West Coast of sourcing that I've had difficulties when I had store in Arizona. It's just not really that voluminous as it is over east of the Mississippi. It's just not. It's a little tougher, and so I decided Texas was a good place to form that relationship, and that's why we do have that relationship in Texas. And I'm working on a similar relationship in Alabama, and that would help me cover a different sector of the country. So, but yeah, that would be my answer to that. And that's I'm working on, it's more of a strategic partnership where we have brokerage situations, but then it's okay, well, we have this space in this partnership. How can we utilize that? And I can lower the leverage by not renting out an entire warehouse, but still have the space and still have partnerships with people that are on the ground there with being able to help the customer and have that physical presence.
That makes sense. All right, so now you're moving low. I mean, first of all, that's a fantastic story. And it seems like so many people that are big in the liquidation business at one point, just peeked into a warehouse and saw pallets and said, hey, what are those? And then they go on that journey to build their business up just like you asked. It's pretty incredible. Nobody says, I got $1 million, I'm going to get into liquidation. They always get that little nibble and then move their way up. So you're one of the leaders in the bin store industry, right? Or one of the first, right? That's pretty neat up that journey.
I don't know the exact year it starts. I've heard or it started. I heard some ups and or some different answers to that, but I would guess to say it was probably in like the 12 to 14 range, 2012 to 14, maybe when they were first starting pop up. So maybe like I'd say 3 or 4 years after the.
So now you're moving loads. Like, so what kind of loads do you move? What do you mostly move now? Is it still Target?
Yeah, we do a lot of Target, but I found that one thing we do in Texas is, we'll take a raw load. So as a lot of people know, you can get a raw Amazon load for, 18, 19, 20,000, even more, whatever, around that range. And there's a lot of customers that they don't want to spend the 19, 20, 21,000, or, they're okay with it coming in a 4-footer. So we could sell a raw load, but then we'll have the 4-footers, but we'll just do a straight dump. And then some customers will be like, well, I hate clothing. I don't want clothing and I don't want food. Cool. Okay, so let's pull the clothing out and the food, and we'll just dump essentially the raw load minus the clothing and food, and we'll push it out that way. And I think, there's definitely levels to processing. There's value processing, and then there's category processing, and probably, several other categories that I can't think off the top of my head, but those are the main two, right? And I think that's where the value added comes in. Is I wanted to do, again, back to that term, unique. What can we do that's unique? Okay, cool. You don't want to spend 19,000 on a raw LPN, and you hate food, and you hate clothing. Not a problem. Let's do this. We have these 4-footers. We'll dump in a raw load. We can take out the food or clothing for you. It's going to be a cheaper price point and more friendly to your pocketbook. And then, just create like an alternate option. And then you can do different things with that too. You could buy raw loads, which we do. We could do just beverages. We could just do just food. We could do, I wanted to create that niche, and I wanted to have options for people. Or you want to add on a pallet of beverage? Cool, we can do that. So just creating that unique experience rather than just spending, the 20 grand. And some people like to do that, and that's fine too. But that's one unique thing that we do. And then again, I'd say a lot of Amazon. And then, we have these partnerships with a few stores where we go in and we say, listen, we want to open you up to our marketing, to our customer base. There's a relationship that I have up in the Northeast, and we're the only team then that operates as their sale arm of, if they have a store and they have excess merchandise, like, we're pushing it out. That's a lot of questions. I see sometimes I get the question of, they're like, well, can't anybody just get what you get? And I'm like, sometimes, but not all the time. And the reason is because, again, forming that unique relationship with, like, the one company we deal with, like, we're the only company they use. The relationship, a couple of the other relationships we're doing, those are unique relationships to where, it just, not everything, a lot of people can get Target, but building those unique relationships with, there was a mixed retail load we sold the other day. That's a unique relationship I have with that warehouse, that we are the sole sale team for that situation. And that's a unique program because it technically doesn't exist. It was like a mix of Dollar General or Target, I believe is what it was, but there was good value in it. And we sold it for like $4,100. Like, that's crazy. So, again, unique relationship. And then it also boils down to just, yes, we sell Target. Yes, we sell things that are sold by others on the market. And that's fine too, because, that's where the customer service piece comes in. That's where or what I would call the customer experience comes in, to where, a lot of times we operate on thin margins because we want to be the seller. We want to be the person selling that load. But even if we're off by $180 or $50 or whatever it is, I want to be able to sell on our customer service and our customer experience. I want to be, we give instant answers. Sometimes, to my fault, because I'm trying to eat dinner and I'm answering a message about a load, but that's okay. But we want to provide the customer experience, and it's like, wow, you answered us really fast. Your transport got with us really fast. The load shipped really quickly. And then, sometimes even when we're not the best price, they're paying for that experience of I mean, if they're paying $50 more and they're like, you know what, I do like working with you and I enjoy that relationship. So I believe that's super important when you are selling some of the similar things as other people, is creating the superior experience.
100%. How, sometimes brokers get a bad rap in this industry. How do you I mean, I'm sure sometimes customers come to you and give you a hard time because, you move loads, I move loads, and a lot of bad brokers are out there. How do you get away from that kind of reputation?
I try to reiterate the unique experiences that we provide, like I was just talking about. I think that's important to say, listen, whenever possible, say, listen, I don't want to sit here and tell you how great we are, because that really doesn't mean anything to you. Whenever possible, it'd be like, let us show you what we have. You don't have to spend a cent with us. If you like it, then we can talk about doing business together. So we try to go take the angle of showing them what they're going to get before they get it. If we're unable to do that for whatever reason, if it's target case back coming from a DC or whatever it is, it's pumping confidence in the customer in any way possible. We try to, how can that be done? We can connect them with other customers. We can say, listen, I'll hear about their challenging experience if they were burned or done wrong, or, someone is like, well, you're just a broker, or do you own that, or whatever the question is my goal is to say, just make them feel comfortable in whatever way possible. Do you want to talk to one of our customers? You know what? I had a customer that just bought that load. Why don't you talk to them and they can give you their non-biased opinion? That's not my opinion, right? So we'll do things like that. It's about making the customer careful. Regardless of what they said, I'll listen, but then it's time to say, how can we make them feel comfortable? Because that's what it boils down to, in whatever manner that may be. So I hear it all the time. I mean, it's, I got burned on this load, or this happened, or that happened, and the date happened. But I'm also, a big thing I say this about 1,000 times a week, but there's something I believe in, which is called setting the expectation. The better you can set the expectation, the smoother the sale's going to go. Someone says, well, they burned me because there was only 270 pieces in this. And I was like, well, here's the thing. Our load may only have about 260 pieces, but here's why. Sometimes the LPN comes out a little bit bigger and you can only fit so much LPN in there. And it may not be what they want to hear, but as long as they set the expectation, everything's going to be okay. Exactly with the Dollar General loads. You know how many people asked me to buy Dollar General loads in the last week since they're $4,000 a piece? 1 million people. But I'm like, listen, they're seasonal in here. And it's not me. Yes, it's me being honest, but it's more of me setting the expectation. Are you okay with seasonal? This is what's going to happen. As long as you set that expectation, it's really hard to go wrong, because they know it. Well, you know what I mean? So that's
Jason. And a lot of people don't understand this, that guys like you are the crown jewel of this industry, right? Because as a bin store owner, and I need loads, and I go to you, Jason, and say, I need some loads. A team of 8 people go to work for me, so I can sit back and run my business. You go find the loads, you set up the shipping, you set everything, you send me loads so I can make money on my store, and you make a small price out of that, which is worth a fortune to somebody, or to the store, the bin store owners, the liquidation store owners, the pallet sale companies. It's worth a fortune to them. And a lot of people don't understand that. Brokers work 24/7 trying to find good deals, reliable sources, for all these store owners and pallet companies, and that's what's so valuable about guys like you in the industry. And you're not just getting Jason, you're getting Jason and his team of 8, right?
Right, that's what I'm saying. I mean, and you're right. I mean, the thing about that is that it's, we're, a popular phrase is, we are an extension of the business. And you can hire, maybe someone to do that on your team, or, I've already had, owners will tell their store managers to call me and be like, call this guy and just work it out. And the person will call me and he's like, well, I'm not the owner, I'm the manager of the store. And it's like, I know they're struggling and they don't know how to schedule a truck to pick up a load or something like that. So, I just want to make that seamless. If you can make a call and order a load, and then, we have triggers, accounting sends an invoice, and then, payment is matched with an open invoice, and that triggers transport to do a trigger where they reach out to the customer. So there's all synchronizations in place where we're making those things happen to make it easier. And we're usually on top of the customer before they ever ask, is it ready? Sometimes they'll ask if it's ready, but when it comes down to, is it shipping yet? You never have to ask that question, because I'll have people on our team reach out and say, okay, it's getting ready to ship. When can you take it? Here's a tracking link, whatever it is. And it's about creating that process and just making their life as easy as possible, because they're much like when I worked for Penske, and I explained to you that whole relationship with how we worked on site with PepsiCo. Like, they were the experts at making soda. They were not the experts at moving trucks. And that's the whole reason they brought us on. So it's kind of a similar situation. Like, run your store, be the expert at running your store. You can't be you can be the expert at a lot of things, but the more you try to do at the time, something's gonna sacrifice a little bit. So if I can get a better deal because I'm buying in bulk, and we have some contract holders we work with, and it's like, well, we're buying a lot from this contract holder, maybe 30, 40, 50 loads a month, and we're getting a better bulk deal, and we can pass that on to you. And there's all these benefits to working with us. And like you said, like, there is a lot of hard work that's done between scheduling the trucks and messing with the wires and everything like that. I mean, there's a lot going on, a lot of moving parts.
So Jason, you're going to be at the WHSL Marketplace Show in Louisville, Kentucky, April 21st, April 22nd. You're going to have a booth there. Tell me about your experience at WHSL.
Yeah, so this is actually going to be our second time at WHSL. I believe this is the third one, if I'm correct. We didn't go last year. We went the first year ever. The first time we went, it was good. I mean, I think it was, it's a growing show. We're excited to be a part of a growing show. I think it's always exciting to look at it and be like, wow, this is a new show in our industry. And, here we are.
I believe so.
Again, is it year 3? Am I correct in saying that? Okay, I listed year 3. Yeah, that's exciting. And I mean, that's why we did it the first year. We were a little busy the second year. We did another show that year. But yeah, no, I'm excited. And it's always, I like to get in early. And if I can, in 10 years from now, I can be like, yeah, I was at the first and third show, and I'm still going, and you're a part of the growth. That's what's exciting about it. And I think, I like how this conference is very dialed into our industry. I feel like sometimes with other shows, there's a lot of so many arenas that people go, store owners per se, and they're like, I didn't know where to go, I didn't know where to start, I didn't know who to talk to. There's angles there that don't apply to me, but that's not the case with the show. That's why you need to go to the show. So it's very tailored to this specific part of the business. It's exciting to meet a lot of the people you've talked to online or you've done business with that you probably haven't met. And I think it's in a great part of the country. I think that's, Kentucky, to me, in my eyes, it's kind of like a hub as to where, there's a lot of logistics going on around Kentucky, and you're not quite southeast, but you're not really north, you're not really east, you're just kind of like, you're right there, and it invites a lot of people, and it makes it accessible to a lot of people. So I think it's good for that reason too. So I'm super excited, and we actually got a really cool booth kit and everything this year. So we're we went all in, and we're pumped up. We're bringing some pretty good. I think we bring 4 or 5 pallets and a different products.
Excellent. Yeah, I just love the intimacy of the show, and it's only liquidators, only people in the industry. You're not going to get lost with half. There's only one place to go out down there, right? And it's right there on the strip next to the convention center. So, and what's better than today bourbon? So that's what I say.
Well, nothing. Yeah, you got to go check out Angel's Envy. That's what we did the first time we were there, and it was we toured there. We toured the Louisville, the baseball factory, or the bat plant and stuff. So that was cool. So we'll hit up some of those again. But yeah, really really awesome area. That was the first time I was ever in Louisville actually, and I'm super excited to go back. So
Nice.
it should be a pretty
All
solid.
right, perfect, Jason. Perfect. So, hey, thanks for coming on, Jason. If people want to get a hold of you, how do they get a hold of Jason?
So, I mean, our numbers pretty much plastered all over the place. So smartsourcewholesale.com is our website. Our main number, which is the 310-666-6612 number, is on there. You'll see that on there. We also have one of our bilingual speakers, Nina. She assists with some of our customers that only speak Spanish. So that's another way that you can reach out to Nina. But those would be the two main ways. You can, if you're a part of our network, you can go and sign up to become part of our network on our website. And then we have a couple pretty cool features on our email that when we send programs over, different clicks and links and hyperlinks that can really connect you with like loads you need and stuff. So we also send out email communication, and then we do like a text blast, usually once a week. We try not to, hit on that too hard and bother people, but I'd say once a week we put out deals on like a text blast, the marketing system that we have there, and obviously on Facebook. So between Facebook and email and the text blast, we're definitely out there.
Seems like people can easily find you, sir. Jason, thanks for coming on today. I appreciate you, man. Thank you. This is one of the easiest interviews I've ever had.
No problem, man. I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much for having me. Looking forward to seeing everybody.
Hey, collaboration between Liquidation Motivation, WHSL Marketplace Week, April 21st and 22nd in Louisville, Kentucky, guys. Liquidation signing out. Bang, bang. Now go out there and make some money, guys.